Did you guys see this? I didn't think I was gonna have to talk about this. FGC Jesus, sweetheart, by the way. It says, no more Reddit tournaments for me, and I thought this was strange. I don't like being treated that way, and I'm not any different than anybody else. So he's like upset, right? And I was like, what is he upset about? So I scroll down, and he says, let me explain. The answer and I were in winners finals, and I had the commentary going on my stream. Turns out everyone got bored of the match. It's a F.A.N.G mirror. So Joe just started playing fart noises over the match, and I had to turn the commentary off because of it. Now look, as somebody who didn't watch it and didn't hear it, that's hilarious. But going back, imagine if you, chat room, had played in your winners finals match of a stream, and you go back to watch it, or you tell your friends to tune in, and it's just fart noises. It's just fart noises going in the background. No one even talks about your match. They're like, this shit's boring. This is whack.
Let me just keep pressing.
Does it play the Benny Hill song? Does it go
I was just about to say that. No, but it's the right
This is the winners finals match.
Is it fart noises?
Man, they rapid fired this. They really did not care, huh? I'll say there's a couple of things. One, as a commentator, I've never had access to a fart noise machine, so I can't speak to my ability to withhold hitting the button if it was available to me. But secondly, I've been bored of a match. In fact, I've been more than bored of a match. I've commentated 10 days in a row, and the match I'm watching is awful, and I didn't sleep, and it's like my 10th hour of commentary for the day. I've been in a worse spot, and I've just been like, all right, gets the crouching medium kick. Looking for plus frames here. Yep, there's the tick throw. I've been like on the verge of death on commentary, and I've not hit the fart noise button, although I didn't have access to it, I guess. You don't want to like completely dump on the players. You're allowed to just make jokes and be silly and say like, oh man, a F.A.N.G mirror. Like, you know, only 10 people in the world have ever seen that. Like, you can talk shit, right? But at the same time, I can understand him getting pissed about this. I don't blame him. Yeah, this is not also a serious tournament, sure. I get that this is it's a tournament where you goof around. But at the same time, it is winners finals, and I just like imagine if like FGC Jesus won, did something sick, and High Fight went to clip it, and it's just fart noises, and he's just like, I guess I'm not gonna clip this sick moment of FGC Jesus. It's like FGC's Jesus' best moment of F.A.N.G play ever in his life, and he's just rapid firing fart noises over it. It's the Evo moment. Let's go, Justin. Like, you're just like, oh man, the whole moment's ruined. Like, what are you even gonna do? That'd actually be really funny. It'd be funny now, but if it was the original moment. Anyway, yeah, I don't blame FGC Jesus for being mad. They already hashed it out anyway. They're already cool with it, so I don't think it's a problem. It's just like, yeah, it's just funny. Anyway, chat room, we gotta get into the more important aspect of today's stream. We gotta talk about farts. You know, I feel like I briefly touched on this yesterday. I got off my stream, nobody's happy. And I was like, what the fuck's going on my Twitter, man? Why is everybody so pissed all the time? So from my understanding, right, the fart article got posted on Kotaku. If you don't know the article I'm talking about, I'll show you the headline. Street Fighter V tournament organizers apologize for playing fart noises during a match. That's what Kotaku writes. Everybody's like frustrated. They're like, why is it that Kotaku will post this article, but they won't talk about this great charity tournament we have? Why won't they talk about this? Why won't they talk about that? And this coincides with a video Esteban put out where he interviewed Amanda Stevens, and she was talking about how she did transitional combat, raised $10,000 for charity, and it wasn't covered by Kotaku or like Top Tier GG or like Event Hubs either, right? So she was talking shit about everybody too, so it like all added up the same day. It got like to everybody being like, why doesn't Kotaku cover fighting games things that matter? Why doesn't Event Hubs cover fighting game things that matter? So let me tell you my perspective on this whole thing. I didn't realize that Event wasn't covered by any of these websites. The reason I didn't realize this, chat room, is I don't read fighting game publications. The reason I don't read them is because they don't make articles that are made for me. They're not the kind of writing that I would ever read or that I would ever click on. If you're embedded deep in the scene, most of these articles don't make much sense for you to read, because fighting game articles generally are tournament results, some news about an event that's happened or is happening, or it's like a piece about somebody in the community. Now, if it's a tournament or a tournament result or something like that, I already know about it. I'm deep in the scene, pretty up to date on anything that's happening for different communities and stuff. That stuff crosses my feed all the time. If it's results, I probably watch the event, or I can just go look at the bracket or look at the VOD and figure it out really quickly. If it's about some person in the community, I probably met them in person or know about them and who they are and what they do and stuff like that. So like, in general, most of these websites don't make much sense for me to read. So like what gets published on them, I very rarely have any idea, to be honest. Does that make all the writing bad and everything? No, it's just not written for me. If these articles were like think pieces about fighting game like psychology or what makes fighting games interesting at like a deep level, or, you know, the thought process of players, or like what makes fighting games fun and cool and stuff like that, I would probably read them. And any of the interesting news that I see that crosses my feed anyway, I'm going to talk about it with you guys. I'm not really a consumer of these websites anyway, so I don't really have great thoughts about how it is presented or delivered to people who want to read it, because I'm not their target audience, I think. Can it be true that all of it sucks? I don't know. That seems like so excessive, right? It's probably fine. I think like most of you guys are probably just beyond most of it, right? Like you guys either get your news from somewhere else, or your friends are deep in the scene, or whatever, right? Because this is my stream's kind of like a talk show. We usually start with news at the beginning. Yeah, and also it might not just be performing really well to do anything else anyway, right? Like as part of creating any kind of content, writing included, is, you know, you got to get people's eyes on it. If people don't click it, if people don't check it out, it's a problem. As much as you want to create stuff that you love, you also have to create stuff that people want to click on. The genre just sucks for news. Yeah, but not all articles have to be news anyway, right? Like you can write articles, and interesting articles about all kinds of stuff. Really fascinating game theory, or like really interesting, like funny comparisons of player archetypes and analysis. Like that kind of stuff is interesting, but it's not very common. Anyway, the other thing I was going to say is, I think that stuff like Transitional Combat, which raised 10K for charity, that definitely deserves an article, right? Like people should talk about that, because that's really cool. A charity event that raised a bunch of money. You should definitely talk about that. Now, I saw some people that were really pissed. They were like, why doesn't this website cover? In Europe, we did some event. It was really tight. It was a local that didn't get covered. And I'm like, I'll be honest, that shit is not going to make it to a publication. Sorry, buddy. Maybe it can make it to a fighting game only, you know, publication, but it's not going to go on Kotaku, Polygon, or like, you know, any kind of major site. They're not going to cover a fighting game local, and they shouldn't. They shouldn't cover Wednesday Night Fights or NLBC or some local unless something astounding or interesting happens there, right? You don't, it's not really worth it. Should it be covered in like, you know, endemic sites? Maybe. Depends on the event. I just saw a lot of people really pissed that their stuff didn't get covered, and they're blaming everybody and slinging stuff, and I was like, I don't know what to tell you. I mean, there's lots of things that I wish was covered too. Like, you know, when the netcode article came out that Infilament wrote, I was slinging that thing as far as I could. I was trying to get everybody to look at it, and like no website was publishing that it came out or anything, right? You can't get like Event Hubs or some other website to show like, hey, fighting game fans, do you want to learn how rollback works in its entirety? Here's the most in-depth article ever. Like, check this. This thing is stacked from top to bottom. Very important article, but nobody wants to read it. Event Hubs was like, nah, that won't get clicks. Instead, we'll put Street Fighter V netcode could be fixed, question mark, exclamation point. They just do what they're going to do. Everybody got pissed at these publications, but at the same time, like, I don't know why they expect them to be something they're not. Perhaps they want to lobby for change. Like, they're like, hey, I want fighting game websites to be better. I understand that, but like at the same time, I don't know how much is changing. And also, if you're deeply endemic into the scene, I don't think that these websites are really going to cover stuff that you don't know about anyway. Their audience is like a casual fighting game fan, right? A very casual fighting game fan. So like the kinds of people who solely would go to websites to read fighting game news, they're not really a casual fan. At some point, they stop being a casual fan. It's a hard spot to hit on the dartboard. You know what I mean? I don't know. I don't expect anything more from those websites because I don't engage with them and they're not really writing for me. Them writing, King of Fighters gets a new character who's coming back, returning character. Like, that article's not for me. I already saw the trailer. It was already on my Twitter feed. High Fight already looked at new and old moves of the character in old games, and now I already saw that video. You know what I mean? Like, by the time that article hits live, I've already seen the character 1,500 times. So I'm not really ever pissed about what they choose not to or do cover or whatever, right? I think the scene could be improved by good articles. Let me give you an example. So I keep bringing up this Magic article, this famous Timmy, Spike, and Johnny article that they have, right? In the Legends of Runeterra thread about the brand new cards, somebody in the top post says, oh man, the inner Timmy in me is going nuts. I can't wait to check this out. 15 years after this article is written or whatever, the top post about it is still using terminology from this article that was written forever ago and still is referencing this article that was written forever ago. And yeah, every card game uses this article when you talk about stuff. That kind of power in a written piece can and obviously will exist if it's written in a very clever and interesting and introspective way that gets people thinking. It's like such a broad, fun topic. And fighting games lend themselves to things like that very easily, I think. I was just thinking about the other day about writing an article as a zoner player, just being pissed about grappler players. And then doing a counter response article as a grappler player pissed about the zoner player. Or like a the zoner's pissed at the rushdown character, the grappler's pissed at the zoner, and the rushdown character is pissed about the grappler. Writing a 3-part article series where like each of them is pissed about each other and just taking a giant dump on how they feel and how they want to play and all that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? I was just thinking about how funny that would be as an article series. Like the zoner player writes like an old person. They're like, dearest viewers, dearest readers, I tell you today that I played well for 98 seconds. My zoning and anti-airs were as impeccable as the summer sun. But like all years, the seasons do change, and with that change comes darkness. The darkness of their shadow as they jumped and my anti-air whiffed. Like, just imagine how funny an article like that would be, where like the zoner just writes about getting destroyed by a rushdown character. And then you write the rushdown character article, and it's like, hey, what up, kids? You guys play Fortnite? Anyway, I just ran in there, and this stupid idiot grappler guy just fucking killed me. It's too much health, bro. I can't kill him. This guy sucks. And then, like, the next article is, like, the grappler player, and it's me struggle. Me walk forward, but me not make progress. 2 step forward equals 1 dash backwards. Life hard. Sun sets. Life bar diminish. No return. Anyway, it took me like 10 minutes to think about a funny article series. That's 3 different articles, right? And I was like, damn, this would just be so funny. Somebody should do this. Now, chat room, another thing to remember. If you write for Kotaku, I don't think you can write that article series, right? Could you imagine trying to pitch that to a major publication? You're like, okay, so in fighting games, there's 3 kinds of, you know, there's these 3 archetypes. Now, I'm going to write from each archetype's perspective, very niche. I agree. I think it's incredibly niche. I think it could be the most popular fighting game article series ever. The zoner players are always so downtrodden. You know what I mean? Like, they win 99% of the match, and then when they lose that one scramble, they're just like, this game sucks. I was winning so much. It's like, I would hope you're winning. Yeah, moves that go full screen. My move goes this far, your move goes that far. Yeah, I would hope with the move that goes this far, you can beat my move that goes that far. I've got a dagger, and you have a fucking lance, and you're on a horse, and I've got to jump onto a moving horse and catch you? And you're like, ugh, he scaled my horse mid-combat, ripped my helmet off, and stabbed me in the neck. Ugh, so lucky. I was winning 99% of the time. Yeah, you're on a fucking horse. I would hope you're winning. Yeah, that's how I feel. But you could write it from any perspective, because you could just make it so that the Russian character's fucking Spider-Man zip into your horse with his web swing. Just stabs you in the neck. You're like, how am I supposed to get away? He's Spider-Man. All right, looking at the poll, 80% of you say you don't read fighting game news. Okay, so 2 parts. First part, for those of you guys who do read news, what do you guys read? What's your spot? I like top tier GG stuff too, yeah, because the percentage of articles they have that's not news and stuff like that is pretty high. They do a good amount. Pat the Flip, yeah, Pat does a good job. Option select, I love the option select. Fantastic. Go off links from Twitter. I just want a journalist who actually plays the game. That helps you. I mean, it's like that for everything. You would hope that whoever covers whatever stuff is interested in likes and plays it. You know what I'm saying? For those of you guys who don't read it, and you guys say you get your news from me or Twitter or Discord or other places, what would make you read a written article? Like, what would get you to read articles about fighting games? If it was cool and shit and sick. If it has good insights. Interviews? I think interviews seems like a good answer. A lot of people like the interview stuff. Actual news. If I wrote it. Well, I can't help you there. I would only read articles on an interesting, insightful topic and by someone who I trust not to be a scrub. Fair enough. In our niche, like, what are the chances someone is very experienced and knowledgeable about fighting games, but also a great writer? It's not going to be a huge, vast amount of people, right? Theorycraft, game science, no drama, more interviews. Interviews. A lot of people said interviews. Why Sajam is horrible for the fighting game community. That'd be a good article. Written by Save Derlin. Game science and interviews, technical shit. It seems like most people agree that they either want straight-laced news, or they want interviews, or they want something that's not clickbaity or drama. But clickbaity or drama is what gets clicks currently. So we find ourselves in an interesting situation. I'm sure most people who write about fighting games would probably like to write about things that are interesting. But maybe they feel like that kind of stuff would not perform well. I would write articles about the behind the scenes of the Wild Thornberrys movie. Smashing. Ones on the history of the scene. I think a retrospective, like a history of the FGC article series would be fantastic. I say I don't want articles about drama, but I still read them. I think everybody in here is like that. Everybody will read the drama. I mean, I don't read the articles about the drama, but I know the drama. I don't read a lot of fighting game articles, right? Especially not the news and other stuff. So I was just curious about why that is for me and also why that is for you guys.
Listen.
Do you guys often read articles in your hobbies and just think the person who's writing it doesn't know what the fuck they're talking about? I'll read a D&D article and I'm like, bro, has this guy ever played Dungeons and Dragons? I'm like, does this guy even know how the fuck the game works? What the fuck am I reading? These are on major websites. I read the comments, they're like, great article, keep up the good work. I'm like, what's even happened? I'm so confused.